director of the track at Motorized Forum, and I'll be your commencement ceremony today as we go through the day. So to begin, we'll have Colonel McFarland and Colonel Hammett provide their opening remarks. Colonel McFarland, from the desk, will come here, whatever you like.
Good morning, everybody. So great to be here. To our distinguished guest partners, colleagues, specifically retired General Brown, sir, former First Corps Commander, former U.S. Army Pacific Commander, and the spearhead for our close partnership with the Royal Thai Army and their strikers. His partner during that time, General Apparat, is somewhere here as well, retired General Apparat, was working closely with General Brown as we stood up a program everyone will get to see tomorrow. Additionally, Lieutenant General Emmerich, 1st Area Army Commander, sir, so great to have you here. Really grateful for co-hosting this conference with you. As well as Major General Michelle Schmidt, our Bayonet 6, our Striker Division for the United States Army. She's here with her team as they are the U.S. Army Forces Command for Cobra Gold this year. Other GOs that I just want to call out real quick, Major General Yotana, the CG for the 11th Infantry Division. Major General Hyogo, the Japanese Ground Self-Defense Force, GCC Director for Bilateral Coordination, sir, thanks for coming. And Brigadier General Lojiko from the Deputy Commander of Training Command for the Philippine Army. So those and others that are here, we are so grateful for your time and so happy that you could join us for this conference. It's an honor to welcome you all to the 3rd Indo-Pacific Motorized Forum, hosted by our gracious friends and partners in the beautiful kingdom of Thailand. Thailand's commitment to foster regional cooperation is punctuated by Cobra Gold, where 9 nations are participating this year and 21 are observing. It makes this the ideal location and time for the Indo-Pacific Motorized Forum. Thank you to the Royal Thai Army for your incredible hospitality and support in co-hosting with America's First Corps to make this event possible. It's hard to believe that this idea that began in January of 2023 as an initiative to enhance multinational motorized capabilities has now evolved into a premier forum representing over 8 allied partner nations. And since its inception, the Indo-Pacific Motorized Forum has provided a platform to enhance security, cooperation, and regional force posture. The first iteration of the Indo-Pacific Motorized Forum laid the foundation for collaborative discussions on integrating capability across diverse operational requirements. The second iteration of the Indo-Pacific Motorized Forum enabled us to refine doctrine, tactics, and sustainment strategies. And this year, we'll focus on amplifying the impact and reach with more emphasis on partnership, interoperability, and modernization, as we'll hear from many of the armies in attendance about where they are taking their motorized programs. The Pacific Theater is defined by its complexity, diverse terrains, expansive distances, and evolving security dynamics and threats. This requires us all to think, act, and operate collectively to deliver decisive outcomes through a strategic land power network that we're part of. Our ability to operate effectively as motorized forces across the domains requires not only advanced technology and equipment, but a shared vision of how we will integrate and operate. That vision begins here, with the open dialogue, mutual learning, and commitment to building enduring partnerships. I'm confident that the dialogue and cooperation fostered here will resonate beyond this forum, driving innovation and ensuring our collective success for the years to come. So thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to a productive and inspiring forum. Thanks. For the
โรเบิร์ตดีบราวน์พลเอกกับดักทางสมพงศ์พลเอกพันลิศหลุนพักดีผู้บัญชาการทหารสูงสุดพลโทแม็กซิลวีแม็กซ์แลนแม่ทัพน้อยที่ 1ประธานร่วมฝ่ายสหรัฐและผู้แทนที่ประเทศทุกท่าน
Retired General Robert B. Brown, Retired General Apirat Kong Sompong, General Somwit Nupati, Chief of Defence Forces, Lieutenant General Matthew McFarlane, Commanding General of First Corps, and fellow chair representatives of allied and partner nations.
ในนามกองทัพบกไทยผมขอต้อนรับท่านสู่ประเทศไทยอย่างเป็นทางการผมรู้สึกยินดีและเป็นเกียรติอย่างยิ่งที่ได้รับมอบหมายจากผู้บัญชาการทหารบกให้เป็นประธานร่วมกับกองทัพน้อยที่ 1กองทัพบกสหรัฐในการสัมมนายานเกราะภูมิภาคอินโดแปซิฟิกกับผู้แทนกองทัพบกมิตรประเทศในครั้งนี้ซึ่งจะเป็นเวทีสำคัญในการแลกเปลี่ยนแนวความคิดประสบการณ์และแนวทางในการพัฒนายานเกราะระหว่างชาติพันธมิตรอันจะส่งผลดีต่อการพัฒนากองทัพไปสู่ความทันสมัยมีความพร้อมในการปฏิบัติภารกิจในทุกมิติรวมทั้งเป็นการสร้างความร่วมมือด้านความมั่นคงที่สร้างสรรค์ในภูมิภาคอินโดแปซิฟิก
I wish to extend on behalf of the Royal Thai Army a warm official welcome to Thailand. I am pleased and honoured to have been assigned by the Chief of the Royal Thai Army to be the co-chair with First Corps United States Army in this Indo-Pacific Motorized Forum, together with allied and partner nations. This forum will be an important platform for exchanges of ideas, experiences, and ways to develop motorized units among allied and partner nations. The outcome of this forum should lead to positive developments in our military's modernization, its readiness to conduct missions in all dimensions, and build constructive security cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region.
การสัมมนาครั้งนี้ถือเป็นกิจกรรมที่จัดอย่างต่อเนื่องโดยเริ่มตั้งแต่ปีพ.ศ. 2565 ในขณะนั้นใช้ชื่อว่า Tiger War Fighting Forum ระหว่างกองทัพบกไทยและกองทัพบกสหรัฐหลังจากนั้นได้มีการเปลี่ยนแปลงชื่อกิจกรรมเป็น Indo-Pacific Motorized Forum และเปลี่ยนแปลงวัตถุประสงค์โดยเชิญชาติพันธมิตรในภูมิภาคเข้าร่วมการสัมมนาเพิ่มเติมในปี 2566 และ 2567 ณ กองทัพน้อยที่ 1 ฐานทัพร่วมลูอิสแมคคอร์และวอชิงตันประเทศสหรัฐซึ่งสะท้อนถึงการพัฒนาที่ดีของกิจกรรมการพัฒนาความสัมพันธ์ที่ดีระหว่างชาติพันธมิตรและนำไปสู่การเสริมสร้างขีดความสามารถในการปฏิบัติงานร่วมกันในอนาคต
This forum is a continuation of past efforts starting from 2022 with the Striker Warfighting Forum between the Royal Thai Army and the United States Army. In 2023, the forum's name was changed to the Indo-Pacific Motorized Forum with the objective of including more regional allies and partners. And in 2024, the meeting occurred at First Corps Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington, United States. These changes reflect the forum's positive development and the good relations between allied and partner nations that have built up capacity for future cooperation.
สำหรับการสัมมนาในครั้งนี้ผมขอให้ผู้เข้าร่วมการสัมมนาทุกท่านแลกเปลี่ยนองค์ความรู้ทักษะและประสบการณ์ของหน่วยยานเกราะกันอย่างแพร่หลายทั้งในด้านหลักนิยมการเปลี่ยนแปลงโครงสร้างการจัดหน่วยการจัดการฝึกการพัฒนาขีดความสามารถกำลังพลการพัฒนาอาวุธยุทโธปกรณ์ที่ทันสมัยการพัฒนาความเป็นผู้นำการส่งกำลังบำรุงบทเรียนจากการรบและการปฏิบัติงานในแง่มุมต่างๆที่เป็นประโยชน์เพื่อให้บรรลุวัตถุประสงค์ของการสัมมนาในครั้งนี้
Regarding this year's forum, I urge everyone to exchange widely their knowledge, skills and experiences in doctrine, organizational structure, training, capacity building for personnel, modernization of equipment, leadership development, logistics, lessons learned from the battlefield, and other beneficial perspectives on operations, all of which will contribute to the success of this forum.
สุดท้ายนี้ผมขอขอบคุณกองทัพน้อยที่ 1 กองทัพบกสหรัฐที่เป็นผู้ริเริ่มการจัดกิจกรรมที่สร้างสรรค์และเป็นเจ้าภาพร่วมกับกองทัพบกไทยในปีนี้และขอขอบคุณผู้แทนกองทัพบกมิตรประเทศที่กรุณาเข้าร่วมกิจกรรมในปีนี้ผมหวังว่าการสัมมนาในครั้งนี้จะสามารถบรรลุวัตถุประสงค์ตามที่ได้กำหนดไว้ขอบคุณครับ
Finally, I wish to express my thanks to the co-chair of this forum, the United States Army's First Corps, who was also the initiator of this beneficial activity, as well as to the attendees from our allied and partner nations who have sacrificed their valuable time to be here. I hope that this forum will fulfill all of its stated objectives. Thank you for your kind attention.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Brigadier General Eric Landry. I'm the Deputy Commanding General for Operations at America's First Corps, and also the Executive Director for the Stryker Warfighting Forum. I'm going to run you through today's agenda. We have, go to the next slide. So we have a pretty packed schedule today. Our keynote speaker is General Brown. He will be followed by the Royal Thai Army, who will discuss Stryker integration. After a short break, we'll have the commander of the 81st Stryker Brigade Combat Team, who will discuss his brigade's tactics. We have a presentation from Japan on Rapid Deployment Regiment and the actions in the defense of Japan. And then the Singapore Army will talk about their own modernization. We'll then take a pause, we'll have a group photo, and then we have an hour and a half for lunch, which will give you an opportunity to network and meet the other participants. After lunch, we'll have a presentation from the 5th SFAB, Security Forces Assistance Brigade, and talk about their partnership with the 112th Regiment here in Thailand. We'll have a presentation from our project manager about Stryker modernization. Then we'll have a presentation from United Kingdom on Boxer modernization and their integration in the UK Army. And lastly, we'll have a presentation from General Motors about the infantry squad vehicle, which some of you might have seen outside here. So a great piece of kit that was recently introduced in the U.S. Army. So it is my honor to introduce you our keynote speaker, General Brown, who, as our CG mentioned, is the former commander of U.S. Army Pacific. He was also the First Corps commander. Most importantly, he commanded one of the first Stryker brigades in the U.S. Army, the first Stryker in the 25th ID. I was wondering how you leave the Army after such an illustrious career of 38 years. I realized that you really never do. General Brown was at PT this morning at the gym at 6 a.m. and he told me that the only difference is now he doesn't have a staff, so he has to put his own slides together. But you know, I'm privileged to have seen the presentation. I think it's extremely relevant in the current security environment. General Brown, the floor is yours.
All right. So are we clap? How is everybody? All right. Everybody get me fired up. This is an exciting event, and I'm honored to be here. I feel like I'm back home. It feels very good. Right now, it's a very good time to be out of Washington, D.C. as well. So might go back and not have a job, you know. So anyway, really want to thank our co-host, General McFarland, fantastic, General Emmerich. Thank you so much for co-hosting this. What a great idea. A lot of great ideas come out of First Corps and the team work together, so just fantastic. So many friends here that would take up my whole time if I mentioned everybody, but I have to mention my younger brother, the much younger brother, the father of the Strykers here in Thailand, General Eparat, an amazing leader, former Army chief, and Grand Chamberlain as well when he retired. Fully retired now, but he looks young enough. I want to sign him up for another 30 years. So thanks for being here, Dan. Really appreciate it. Also, General Songwit, thank you for being here, the Chief of Defense Forces. We go way back, and very proud of all you've done. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Some of the folks in the room make me feel very old. General Schmidt, Michelle, amazing. Many years ago, Captain Brown taught Cadet Schmidt at West Point. And back then, I said, she's going somewhere. No doubt about it. And 7th ID commander, just incredible. And it was kind of interesting because a lot of the cadets I taught make me feel very old. They're now 2, 3-star generals, and like, holy smokes, you know. But it makes me really proud. We have the right people moving forward. So I really am excited to discuss this morning. Really, but the timing of this could not be better because the way the battlefield, the way the world has changed, motorized is more important than ever. But I'm going to start at a real high level. So go to the next slide. Let's look at right now. I don't think we could have it's the most challenging time for security for all our nations, all our allies and partners here, which is our strength, allies and partners. And this is the most challenging time, certainly I've seen in over 40 years being involved in this. But I think you could go back, and everyone here would agree, what a challenging time. We have authoritarian regimes, you know, China, Russia, and many people forget Russia's in the Pacific. But China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran have been called now the axis of upheaval. The axis of upheaval. And they, you know, not a good thing that they're working together. They're not truly an alliance or partnership, but they are working together, and that's not a good thing for those who enjoy freedom and the aggressiveness that's occurring from that loosely put partnership. If you look at China, the most aggressive I've seen, you know, in 30 plus years of dealing with being in China, dealing with China. I said in Australia a few years ago, it used to be China, really for all of us as allies and partners. China feared the alliances and the partnerships in the Pacific, and they respected that. Unfortunately now they don't fear it anymore. They still respect it, but they don't fear it, and it's not a good thing. A little bit of fear is a good thing to deter. And they're being extremely aggressive. You look at asserting illegal territory control in the South China Sea, what's going on, continuous acts of aggression against the Philippines, Taiwan, many nations, no doubt, that are in their way, if you will, for their claims. And then, of course, North Korea seems to be a cycle that we see with ramping up incredible military provocations. You know, they redefined, North Korea redefined South Korea as a hostile state. And what that did, that was big, because as a hostile state in its constitution, that demolished many of the key inter-Korean infrastructure, where they were working limited ways, they were working together, gone. So declaring a hostile state. They also have recent tests of hypersonic intermediate range missiles, and as a reminder, they're continuing conventional and nuclear capabilities as well. Russia, boy, do I need to say much about Russia. Engaged in a full-scale illegal invasion, the first of its kind since World War II, and you know, proving that great power conflicts are no longer relics of the past. Unfortunately, large-scale combat operations, great power conflict is back, and it's not good news for any of us in this profession. Cannot also forget the violent extremists still out there, and Indo-Pacific has challenges with that, just like the rest of the globe in many, many ways. So let's look real quick at the benefits of the World War II, post-World War II order. When you look at, you know, these authoritarian regimes and that axis of upheaval I was talking about seek to overthrow the international rules-based order. International rules-based, that has benefited the Indo-Pacific more than any other region. And it's interesting because when you look at it, you know, for about 80 years, we've had greater peace and prosperity than ever before in history. And when you didn't have that, you know, that benefit to all nations, when we had a system that didn't benefit all nations, we were very close to conflict at all times. So international laws, a system that's built on international laws, sovereignty, protection of territorial integrity of all states, large and small, all states. Free and open access to global trade routes, allowing all nations, regardless of size, to prosper and mutually benefit economic interconnections. And institutions that prevent conflicts and mediate disputes peacefully. This is what the rules-based international order has done. But instead of working to improve the rules-based international order, because any system always can be improved, authoritarian regimes in the region want to return to spheres of influence. spheres of influence where it isn't a benefit to all. There's some have a significant advantage, and they want that significant advantage, where might makes right. Might makes right. So those nations that might not be as strong are in trouble. When you look, the very type of system they want is what resulted in the two bloodiest conflicts in history last century, World War I and World War II, that type of system. So we have our challenges set against us. And I think you see on this side, go back to the last slide real quick, Pi, thanks. Just look at 1945 versus now in Tokyo, rules-based international order, what it does, an amazing city, and look at how far it's come. Look at Saigon in Vietnam, amazing. And then, of course, South Korea, a free society there with lights everywhere, and North Korea in the dark. And that's what happens when you have authoritarian regimes and not the freedom that we all enjoy based on rules-based international order. Okay, thanks. So our best defense, what can we do? That's all kind of wonderful news there for you this morning. Everybody's going to go away depressed. We'll have counselors outside if you need it. But good news is you're here, and allies and partners, that's our advantage. No doubt about it. If we didn't have allies and partnerships across the Indo-Pacific, already we'd be seeing conflict like you can't imagine, like none of us could ever imagine. We'd be seeing it already. Allies and partners are the key. That's what helps us. And so good on you that you're here. And as I look around and see so many amazing allies and partners, this is absolutely key. It's an unmatched advantage as we fight to preserve the rules-based order, and the strength of our alliances and partnerships is significant. And none of Russia, you look at China, Russia, North Korea, or Iran, they don't share the same network of like-minded, powerful partners that we have. Yes, they are working together more than before, but it's nowhere near what we're doing. When you look at Cobra Gold going on north of here right now, and any exercise you go through in the Pacific, you see this incredible partnership where 25, 30 years ago, when I was a younger officer, and it would be, here's, our allies were like this, now we're like that, an exercise. Together, combined, joint, working together, that's a key, absolutely critical to a free and open Indo-Pacific. A combined joint effort at unprecedented levels, and that's really important, because that's where the world has changed, and I'll get into more on why being able to maneuver and rapidly move is so important. Because now we have to be combined and joint at a level never before seen. Never before seen. It's absolutely key. Seamless integration between U.S. forces and Indo-Pacific allies, and that's a challenge. Sometimes we do it to ourselves with policies. I remember, on Talisman Sabre, and I was excited because we had the same equipment, FATADs for artillery, and yet we couldn't share the data, and we were, we had to use methods that would have been used in World War II instead of leveraging technology because of policies. So we had to look at what policies prevent us from working together better, what systems do we need to work together better, how do we work together as allies and partners seamlessly in the future. And that's the only way we're going to prevent conflict, because really any potential adversary would be crazy to test our collective strength and to overwhelm them should they try. We can do that as allies and partners, no doubt about it, if we stay together, combined and joint, for sure. And let's look at a hot topic right now. Again, as we're looking at the nature versus the character of war and the changes we're seeing. All of us are looking at this. And I would submit that the nature of war is violent, brutal, bloody, and fought to achieve political objectives. War stinks. It's terrible. I mean, you've been to war, it's horrible. Right? It's terrible. And that nature of war remains unchanged, regardless of geography or combatants. The nature of war remains unchanged. As a historian, T.R. Fehrenbach, right on the Korean War, T.R. Fehrenbach put it, he said, "You may fly over a land forever. You may bomb it, atomize it, pulverize it, and wipe it clean of life. But if you desire to defend it, to protect it, and keep it for civilization, you must do this on the ground by putting your young soldiers into the mud. You must do this on the ground. If you desire to keep people live on the land." And we've had this myth out there, that Indo-Pacific, a lot of what? half the Earth's surface, the region. There's a lot of water. People live on the land. And it's a joint, combined and joint theater. And so we're witnessing the largest disruption to the character of war since World War II. You could argue maybe even farther back. The character, not the nature, but the character of war. A cycle between introduction of new technology and development of countermeasures becoming faster and faster. What used to take years is days, sometimes hours now. The changing character of war. To name just a few of the changes that are altering the character of war. One is precision weapons. Yes, they've been around a long time, but precision weapons that with mass precision and with unmanned aerial system delivery and opportunities, so you have a farther reach than ever before in history. Increasing lethality of those systems as well, for sure. Second is surveillance technologies. Very difficult to hide anymore. Just about every domain used to be able to hide. Air and sea, you can't hide anymore. You cannot hide. You can get Google Earth and find an aircraft carrier, a ship, a plane. You can't hide anymore in the sea or in the air. Now, submarines, subsurface, yeah, they can hide. Thank goodness. All right. Land, you can still hide, but it's tougher. Electronic warfare and signatures, EW, electromagnetic spectrum, heat sources, and the unbelievable number of satellites out there. You can't hide on land. It's the most survivable of all domains. You can go into caves, jungles, cities, blend in, but it's getting much more difficult. And, the surveillance technologies, you got to assume you're always watched now, or before you could take your time and be protected. You can't anymore. Next is cyber warfare. And cyber has enabled strategic attacks beyond the immediate battlefield. So there are no more protected home bases and free zones, if you will. We never worry about really getting to the port or getting to a conflict. With cyber, you're vulnerable everywhere. And what's really tough about it, you're no longer safe anywhere, but oftentimes you're trying to figure out who did it. It's not like there's a neon sign, this came from Russia, this came from China. You have no idea who did it with cyber, which causes even more confusion, disinformation often. And then probably one of the biggest changes is artificial intelligence. This is huge. Artificial intelligence is changing the character of war significantly. The speed of decisions will determine the victim. And leveraging AI, not with garbage in, but good quality algorithms that give you quick answers, you will have the speed of decision will be the key to outmaneuvering, outpacing your enemy. An advantage we have, by the way, as allies and partners. A big advantage we have over authoritarian regimes. When you look, for example, Russia, when they invaded Ukraine, did not trust their 2-star division level commanders and below. But why were they sitting on the side of the road doing nothing? Everybody's like, what the hell are they doing? They thought they were on a training exercise. Putin didn't trust them to tell them what was going on. That's unbelievable. You cannot win today with that type of lack of empowerment and trust. And so that's a huge advantage we have, our people, the ability to empower and trust. Absolutely key. And leveraging AI for that will be critical in the future. And it's critical for what I'll talk about a little bit, multi-domain operation. The other is robotics, which are really shaping the battlefield. Robotics will save a lot of lives if we can leverage autonomous vehicles for routine things like logistics, supply, different areas. That'll make a huge, huge difference. And so those are just some of the things changing the character of war. It's changing significantly. Okay, let's look at the future. This is really important. This gets to, I'm moving my way down to why Motorized and explain what it has to do with this forum. So when you look at multi-domain operations, this is the future. This is what, when I was a young company commander in the 80s, we were working air-land battle. And air-land battle would lead to great victory in Desert Shield, Desert Storm, all kinds of things. Air-land battle was incredible. Intellectual change and equipment change and mission transformation. Our enemies, adversaries, those who would do us harm, have studied air-land battle. And it's like, I use the analogy, it's like they determine that they studied that we're playing a soccer game, regular soccer game, and in reality, we've changed and now we're playing American football. It's not soccer, all right? So we're tackling, it's different. So it has changed, and it has to have changed in Marion Valley because they read the playbook. They developed A2AD systems that prevent us from getting systems within 3,000, 4,000 miles of their coastline, if you look at China and others. So absolutely key that multi-domain operations is the future. I'll explain that a little bit. You see here, obviously the domains, space, can't do anything on the ground without space. A lot of ground folks say, what the hell do I need space for? Well, you're not going to have anything, any ability without space. Space plays a huge role. Cyber, I already mentioned cyber is a significant role and probably one of the greatest changes, absolutely amazing changes that is out there, and it can reach anywhere. So you have the defense against it, and you have the offensive capability you need to cyber. Air, land, and maritime. One thing I'm certain of from my time doing JTF, Joint Task Force certification, where we did the first ground certification in the Pacific. Indo-Pacific had JTF 4-star certification for maritime, always. Back in 2017, we started maritime and land JTF certification. Why? Because land is so important. It's critical, especially in this new environment. It's absolutely key. Why was land important in the World War II? Well, land in World War II, I'm sorry, go back one more time. I skipped ahead. Land in World War II, and when this is really important, it enabled us to get closer with logistics and air power to affect our adversary at the time. And so you had two campaigns, maritime, sea and land. 22 Army divisions were in the Pacific and 6 Marine divisions. The Army, by the way, did more amphibious assaults and landings than the Marines. But 22 divisions. Why? Because land was so important. We're not fighting the last fight. We're not fighting World War II. But land remains critical. You can't get close to your adversary now, but based on their A2AD capability, unless you have established land, positions on land, the most survivable domain. So it's absolutely key. The 3 dimensions that are up there are critical as well, often forgotten. The human dimension is the most important. Soldiers and decision makers shaping war, and that gets back to what I talked about today. If you don't have trust, you can't have empowerment, and you won't have the advantage. But all of us, we all can have that. I've seen it in exercises. I've seen it in that trust as allies and partners is absolutely key and will enable us to empower, where thankfully, our adversaries can't do it. Maybe they will someday, I hope not, but they can't right now, I can assure you that. So that human dimension is key. Informational, this is a huge one. Today, disinformation. I always thought the downfall of authoritarian regimes would be the information age, where their people would get the truth. The reality is, the overwhelming amounts of information have made it easier for authoritarian regimes to isolate their people, look at Russia, North Korea, and provide disinformation. And now it's, what is the truth? And we see that everywhere. In our own country, we see that. What's the truth? And you can be somewhere and witness something firsthand, and then you go online and read what happened, and you're like, what the hell, I was there, that's not what happened. And then people won't believe it that you were there. The disinformation is informational. And I started to see that way back in 2004 as a striker brigade in Iraq. I remember changing our method prior to elections. We just did a few things different, and so we started to have more success in the city of Mosul. And the public was like, they started coming out in the information campaign. There's still the same number of IEDs going on, still the same number of Al-Qaeda in prison, but they felt, with the information, they felt safer. And they came out in reality, they started to flourish. And it was all information. Information is so key. And again, disinformation is out there, it's so critical as well. What is the truth? Finally, physical, the terrain, equipment, logistics, enabling operations. That physical is very important as well in multi-domain operations. So 3 dimensions of the 5 domains, absolutely. Okay, next slide, sorry. I'm doing a great job. superstar, but I keep bouncing around on them, sorry about that. All right, so land domain is critical. I sort of started to go into this, most survivable, you know, when we look, big myth that the Pacific, we all wish, we'd be bored. The Air Force and Navy could handle it all, right? We'd have all kinds of free time. Our golf games be a lot better. We'd be with our family more. Life would be great. The reality is that it's not true. It's a combined, joint future, or we're going to lose. Combined with allies and partners, joint, at a level never before seen of joint. From joint interdependence, like for example, I had soldiers in the streets of Mosul, they could rely on the Air Force to put a JDM through a window, no problem, interdependent on each other. Now it's integration, not interdependence. So you need more capabilities and the ability, particularly in the land domain, to have impact on your adversary close enough. So despite advancements in air and naval warfare, land remains indispensable. And some reasons it is the most survivable. The ground forces can still hide and maneuver in ways ships and aircraft cannot, including through use, and this will be key, something the United States used to be very good at, but we lost over the years. We're starting to get it back, and it's key, and that's deception. Decoys and deception will be absolutely key. It'll be harder to hide an individual, but it'll be easier to throw thousands of decoys, something the size of that bottle, hold that up for me, the bottle of something the size of that emits like it's a TOC operation center, emits like it's a radar, emits like it's a missile system, and there are thousands of them out there. Which is the real one? Go ahead, adversary, waste your time looking for it. Absolutely key. Deception, decoys, and denial. Also, again, I mentioned lands where people live, it's the most consequential domain, imposing political will. Kind of tough to impose political will from way up in the sky or out at sea. And in control of territory ultimately determines victory, let's face it. So land plays that huge role. That has not changed and will not change. It will remain dominant in the decisive domain. Land forces will be in constant contact across all domains. That's key. So you need constant contact in all domains, ability, space, cyber, and from others. And the pervasive ISR systems and precision weaponry, as I mentioned earlier, be absolutely key, those unmanned aerial systems. Now, I think a lot of people are panicking, though, when they see Ukraine and what's happening. They say, oh my God, the drones are just like stifling folks. I would suggest to you that those armies are not at the level of any of our armies are. In fact, I say Russian armies are lousy armies. And that's why they're having so many problems. I'm not saying drones aren't going to have an impact. Of course they will. But you can still outmaneuver. You can still control. And when you look at, the impact, again, at sea and in the air, the Ukrainians with no navy defeated the Russian Navy. Pretty interesting. With no navy, and they defeated the Russian Navy. So this is the power of what's happening in these drones out there. And I talked to EW signals. So let's go to ground vehicles are essential in modern warfare. So I went all the way up here, all this high-level stuff. Now we're down to, so why is this so important? You have this forum. To remain survivable in this highly contested battle space, infantry must move faster than ever before. It said, boots on the ground are essential, but boots alone are not enough. You need wheels, not tracks. Tracks aren't going to work here in the, tracks didn't work in the Middle East, let alone tracks alone for infantry. You need wheels, and you need to rapidly be able to move. Now, this is not as a fighting vehicle, of course not. You're not riding into battle inside, but you're moving folks to a position of advantage, moving them rapidly, getting them out of that vehicle, and it's absolutely key. If you think about, if you got drones loitering above you, and you got nothing but your boots, it's going to be a long day. Right? It's going to be a long day. It's kind of hard to outrun, outmove. But if you got wheels that can move you rapidly, you're going to be in very good shape. Ground vehicles provide speed, protection, mobility necessary to keep land forces lethal and survivable. They allow forces to close distances rapidly. Very key, rapidly. Again, rapid decisions, rapidly moving those forces. That's key. You can't be slow. Today, it'll be who makes the decisions fastest. And we have a huge advantage in that, and that'll help us, all allies and partners here. Again, I know I've worked with you. I know you have an advantage there. That'll make a huge difference. They offer protection and firepower. That firepower, support by fire positions, is key. And more firepower as we're seeing. Some things don't change. More firepower is a good thing. You don't want less, you want more. And good old things like threats from artillery, drones, and other type of fires, missiles, etc. You don't be able to move fast, so you need the wheels. Okay, so now we'll go on to impact of ground mobility in practice. Now here I have to confess, General Pete Johnson's in the back. He would never forgive me if I didn't say, of course I'm biased towards the Striker. I was very fortunate. I had the 2nd Striker Brigade in the Army, and we did the test and evaluation of the whole concept of Striker and modularity. And then, I'm the most senior Striker Brigade commander. I was the longest Striker Brigade commander, 3.5 years. Tested the concept, etc., deployed it to combat. So I'm biased to Striker. But what I'm talking about here, and I'll mention later, could also be from a light tactical vehicle or an infantry support vehicle, and I think General Johnson's going to talk later about that. It could be a Humvee, could be a lab. But I think wheels are important. And I think, of course, the Striker has some huge advantages here. Strikers were essential for the U.S. Army. It's a balance between mobility, protection, and firepower. They have mobility and speed. Unlike heavier armored vehicles, Striker wheel vehicles designed for faster movement. I can tell you that I put 55,000 miles on my Striker as a brigade commander across northern Iraq, and we average about 60 miles an hour on the road. Why? To outrun IEDs. And saw quite a few of them. Usually, fortunately, the smoke was behind you because we're moving so fast. 60 miles an hour, nice capability to have. Avoid a lot of things out there and move fast. I had some things happen in combat that, the Strikers, what they would do is the first ever in history in combat happened. The good old ambush that occurs. And you read about so many cases of wars in the past where folks were by themselves in an ambush, sitting there for hours, sometimes days, right? Nobody knowing what's going on. But what I had was, with the Strikers, 300 plus Strikers, incredible situational awareness. You could see where all those Strikers were. And when an incident would happen, it would be populated, and I would have the challenge of too many people showing up at an ambush. Where one time 7 platoons showed up within 5 minutes at an ambush. That was a good problem to have. You say, you do this, you do that, you get the hell out of here. Very good problem to have. They had nobody isolated for hours. Things that they could do because of their awareness, their rapid mobility, absolutely incredible. Incredible protection, more than Humvees, more than other lighter vehicles, and with the addition of the slat armor. You see the pictures up there, the slat on the outside. We had over 400 RPGs in 1 year hit Strikers, slat armor, and I didn't lose a soldier to an RPG against a Striker. And I remember several times Strikers coming back in the operating base with 6 RPGs sticking in the slat armor. Kind of amazing. Now it slowed it down a little, just a little. It was heavy, and it prevented you from being on a narrow road, but worth every penny for that additional protection. Versatilities. The Strikers supported multiple missions with the variants they have. Infantry transport, reconnaissance, medical evacuation. Great thing about the medical variant, when someone was wounded numerous times, an individual shot right in the throat, and the doctors, the medics could actually operate on them in the Striker. It was so smooth. I used to say it was smoother than my Suburban. And smooth on the road so they could actually operate on the way to the combat support hospital and save a lot of lives. Huge. It also had a mobile gun system and command control vehicles, etc. Urban warfare in densely populated cities like Baghdad and Mosul, Strikers enabled U.S. forces to move quickly while maintaining a strong presence. They used to call us ghost soldiers because we could move very rapidly and have units go out and on a raid of an Al-Qaeda cell, and they would show up very rapidly. We had bumpers on the ramps, so they wouldn't even hear that. And they'd go in, and then of course take human with, and we'd do 9 raids in one night, take out an entire cell of 30 Al-Qaeda. And so that's where the reputation ghost soldiers didn't see us coming, and it was devastating on the enemy. It gave the ability to navigate through narrow streets and quickly dismount troops, get to the high ground and urban, very key. Strategic deployments you deploy rapidly in C-130s. Or I had a battalion that was hundreds of miles away down in Fallujah while I was up in Mosul. And within a day, they were able to move at 60 miles an hour, and all that entire time get back up and reorient on the way, getting all the maps in and getting in the fight within hours. Amazing strategic mobility. And then sustainment, you have all the variants of different type. Like I had strikers with their original strikers in their second year in combat. We had gotten new ones, but they decided, well, we can create another brigade faster. You fall in on the old ones, which we weren't thrilled about. But still, we're over 90% operational readiness rate and did amazingly well. They're really suited for prolonged operations in austere environments. Very, very good. So I could talk about these all day. Let me show you a quick video clip. This isn't anything incredibly exciting, but just give you a quick look at the capability of urban terrain and what that's so hot. Play the video.
Took a small arms fire, engaged it. At this time, Deuce 4 is doing a cordon around the building that we received fire from.
Right now.
It's also critical to fight as a team, and we've really developed horizontal information flow where there used to be stovepipes in the Army system between special forces and conventional forces, between intelligence, maneuver, so we share info together. There are no walls, so rapidly, because this enemy will move very rapidly. If you get a piece of information, it may be good for 45 minutes or less. If you went back to the old system, you'd never make it. You don't have 2 days to rehearse and go after the enemy. It's going to happen quick, or it's not going to happen at all.
Deuce 3, Bulldog 6.
Roger, the northwest corner, lock it down. Single AIM just ran from the east side to the west side. Roger, move all your dismounts south of the creek. We've got the area isolated. The battalion work platoon is here. And if you link up with me, I'll give you some guidance on how I want you to search this little block. Red 6, did you monitor? Roger. Okay. Hey, the mortars in your platoon, I see all the strikers cordoning this block. Great. Locals are saying that he hasn't left this block.
Striker Brigade is an agile, adaptive, lethal force that is infantry-centric.
Look very young there.
And has the ability to rapidly deploy and make a huge difference anywhere that it goes. But it comes down to one thing, and that's great soldiers, great leaders.
That was some of the voices, and there were young Captain Rob Shaw, Colonel Rob Shaw, and that was Lieutenant Colonel Eric Carilla's battalion, Deuce 4. He's now General Eric Carilla, the CENTCOM commander. But I mainly showed that to show I was a soldier once and young. Just kidding. But you might say, okay, why did I show that? It's totally different here. Counterinsurgency, why the hell show that? Well, it's relevant today in the Indo-Pacific, all the different mission sets. There's a lot of cities in the Pacific, a whole lot of cities. There's a whole lot of buried terrain, and there's no replacement for wheeled mobility. The Indo-Pacific Theater commands a similar capability, no doubt about it. Our forces must be able to close distances rapidly with adversaries across vast distances of the Indo-Pacific to degrade their decision-making ability. We must have wheeled vehicles that provide mobility in austere environments. And again, I'm talking striker here because I'm partial, but that could be, the ICV, infantry combat vehicle, or the light tactical vehicle, Humvees, Labs. There's all kinds of wheeled vehicles, and I would say not. You may need tanks and track, of course, in a fight for sure. But for infantry, really the thing you need the most is the wheel for mobility, no doubt that's going to be absolutely key. Finally, we must have the right balance of protection and firepower. That's a key balance, and enhancing survivability against threats, artillery, drones. That doesn't mean you simply rinse and repeat what has worked before. We've got to respond to some of the unique challenges. When you look, our ground vehicles in recent conflicts, we used to be worried about the sides and the back of the vehicle, right? Now we worry about the top more than anything. If you see pictures from what's going on, that is a great lesson to learn, how you have to protect the top and the many methods to do that. So you got to figure out, and that's different ways to include kinetic ways that you can stop those attacks, directed energy and microwave capabilities in development right now. Those would be key. You can't look back. You got to keep moving forward, and we need the better protection against those threats. There's again constant contact that extends to the electromagnetic spectrum. We got to reduce our vehicle's signature and ability to detect by our adversaries, and of course, we must continue to consider the role of autonomy on the ground. How can we utilize advancement in autonomous systems with AI to pair our manned vehicles, offload risk from our soldiers? That could be performing logistics, medical, reconnaissance, and as General Rainey from Army Futures Command says, never trade blood for first contact. We can use autonomous vehicles for first contact. Don't trade blood for first contact. We shouldn't do that anymore. It's foolish, not leveraging technology. Finally, we must remember that a vehicle without fuel or spare parts is just a hunk of metal. It's not going to do a damn thing for us, right? So logistics is absolutely key, and contested logistics. There's nowhere that logistics is more difficult than in the Indo-Pacific with the tyranny of distance. But it can be done. We look from factory to port to foxhole, and in this difficult environment, we've got to design our vehicles better with sustainment in mind. Design them, leverage 3D printing on the spot, which is really key. Forward fixing, you can't send them 3,000 miles back. And then alternative sources of fuel to make our vehicles more resilient. Electrical is being experimented with, and easier types there for sure. So we got to be thinking about all as we prepare our ground forces. So look, in summary, we face the most dangerous mix of threats in this region that we've seen in decades. We must remain prepared to fight across all domains together. Single domain actions don't work, I can assure you. Saw that over and over again. Anything in a single domain, land only, air only, sea only, doesn't work. It's not going to work. The adversary is prepared for it. But presenting them with multiple dilemmas, working together, combined and joint, they're prepared for that. They prepared for a soccer game, not an American football game, with a little bit of tackle in there. And in this land domain, in this theater, vehicle-based mobility is only optional if you don't want to win. Okay, so having the mobility, only optional if you don't want to win. If you want to win, you better have it, or you're not going to. Investing in highly mobile, technologically advanced ground vehicles that can empower our land forces to dominate the domain and contribute to our military's keeping the Indo-Pacific stable, secure, and free is not just about fighting the next war. It's about deterring that war in the first place. And I'm going to tell you, if we do it right, continue forums like this, training closely together, allies and partners, we'll deter those that would do us harm, for certain. No doubt about it. The Indo-Pacific's challenges are immense, but so is the strength of our capabilities as alliance and partnerships. And it is these relationships that will prove even more essential to our collective strength in any single piece of technology, no doubt about it. So I know I'm over time, way over time, probably that's all right. We'll get back on schedule, but I do want to open up if anybody has any questions. So if anybody have any questions on anything I covered. I know it wasn't that clear. Yeah.
First, thanks for that rundown. Perspective starting big and going to the importance of mobile, fast ground forces, super helpful as we kick off this conference. You mentioned it and talked about the importance of it in terms of vehicles with spare parts on them, the capability to sustain ourselves across the distributed battlefield. You mentioned the crucial aspect. Do you task organize mechanics across the formation so you can fix on the move, or your small outposts? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. No, great question. I think, going back, we did have, and we operated not on, we realized I got to Mosul and it was out of control, and we got beefed up. I mean, I had 12,000 in my brigade for 10 months because it was so out of control, didn't get it back under control. We defeated Al-Qaeda, but we had to go out into FOBs, forward operating bases, smaller COPs, combat operating, 48 in Mosul and another 50, 60 across. We had a border from Syria to Turkey to Iran. So yes, mechanics had to be spread out through all of it. Now what we lacked in a major way that really was difficult, we lacked autonomous capability to resupply, with people in harm's way. We lacked 3D printing. 3D printing today is a game changer. Logistically, it's a game changer. With 3D printing, you can get those parts forward. And even if it's not the best part, but it keeps the thing running until the real part comes in, it's key. So 3D printing would help. Certainly mechanics, that's logistics and where the mechanics are is critical. The other is the similarity, the advantage, whether it's all light tactical vehicles, it's all strikers, it's all labs. You can't have an incredible mix of vehicles or you just don't have the expertise and you're gonna have real problems. So having that platform where, the engine, the transmission, the vehicles essentially the same in 12 variants was really key and helped us immensely. But you've got, I think the biggest thing on logistics is thinking through and leveraging. Today there are systems that can predict. We no longer have to do services scheduled every 8 months. Now leveraging artificial intelligence, it can tell you when something's going to break down. And you can save unnecessary maintenance that we used to do, waste a lot of money and time, and leverage that AI of when, and all our modern cars have it. It's pretty simple. Now you can't fix them anymore, yourself, but I've got a 76 VW bus that I can fix. That's about it. But any modern car, no, you can't fix it anymore. But that's another key consideration in logistics. Logistics is the long pole in the tent. The tactics are easy, but real geniuses talk logistics, not tactics, because it's hard, and particularly Indo-Pacific. I always get a kick out the first time someone's talking about the Indo-Pacific, they've never been there, and they fly, like I'm going to go to Australia. Okay? Like 3 days later, they're there. And everybody's like, oh my God, I couldn't believe that how far it was. It's unbelievable. And what's amazing is ships have maybe improved a day. In ships, you would think all the improvements in the world since the mid-40s, a ship gets someplace maybe a day faster. Airplanes get there faster, but still, it's a hell of a burden on them, and there's not enough that are needed. And so the logistics is absolutely key, a critical part. And you got to think through it and plan for it, and clever methods as well. Other questions? Yeah. 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 Yeah, I hesitate to say any domain guarantees success. Certainly for the network that's required, space is critical. But I think the leveraging lower level satellites and different methods and some like Starlink that was used. There's ways. I would never say that if you lose space temporarily, let's say you're against an adversary that tries to take out satellites and do stuff. There's ways around it. But of course it's important, but I would hesitate. All domains are critical. Working together, absolutely critical. Space is extremely important, and the thing about space is it's often ignored. A lot of people don't understand the impact on the ground. We did at Association of United States Army, we did a strategic land power dialogue with a space commander. They said, why are you doing that? You're a land force. Well, you can't do anything on land without space, as you were saying. But there are ways around how an adversary would deny you in that. But you're also, it's the age-old challenge, how much do you train degraded mode, which is always an age-old challenge for all of us. I remember my soldiers were absolutely blown away one time when I was able to navigate using a compass in the Striker 7 hours across the desert. They were like, oh my God. They were checking me on the FPCD2 and all the systems, but we used to learn that. And now you don't, but you kind of have to, because it's going to be degraded for sure sometimes. And you're never going to have a 100% secure network all the time. So it's space is key, but I would never say you'd lose if you lose space. Now, we'll outthink our adversaries and we'll improvise and get around it because of our soldiers will figure it out more than anything. I guarantee it. Other questions? All right, hey, thanks very much, really appreciate it. I convinced him I'm going to take home Striker. And it'll eliminate all that traffic in Washington, D.C.
General Brown, General Ackroyd, General Amarin, General McFarland, distinguished guests, fellow officers, and all participants of Indo-Pacific Motorized Forum 2025. I am Captain Jack Lankava, a representative from 112 Striker Regiment Combat Team. It is my honor to welcome you on behalf of 11th Infantry Division. As today we are diving into the background, the development, and capabilities of Royal Thai Army's very first Striker-based Mechanized Infantry Unit, 112 Striker Regiment Combat Team. The overall agenda today includes: why do we need Strikers in Royal Thai Army? Our regiment's capabilities, development concept, and the progression since 2019. Significant cooperations and assistance between United States Army and Royal Thai Army, and will be followed by Q&A. Now let's begin with the bigger questions. Why do we need Strikers in Royal Thai Army? Let's take a look from 9 different perspectives. Number 1 is the mission-based perspective. So the Royal Thai Army combat armed units have been assigned with 5 priority tasks. Number 1 is to defend the sovereignty and territory of the Kingdom of Thailand. Second, maintaining internal security and stability. 3, preserving internal peacekeeping. 4, protecting the monarchy. And 5, conducting military operations other than war. Next, let's take a look at the threat base. As Thailand, we are not likely to face large-scale combat. Therefore, developing an armored unit or the heavy units may not be the best choice. Therefore, as the majority of forces along all borders defending our countries are dismounted infantry troops. So, developing heavy units may not be the best choice. Striker falls as the better choice. Next, to the strategy-based standpoint, Royal Thai Army operates under the concept of active defense strategy, which is to defend enemies from invading into our countries. We do not deploy any forces overseas, except for one operation, which is the United Nations peacekeeping operations in South Sudan, which our 11th Infantry Division now is deploying 2 platoons there, as General Panat Thakur took our Chief of Army, along with our Major General Lieutenant Major, our 11th Infantry Division Commander, are visiting them and will be returning in this afternoon. Therefore, as we are protecting the borders as the active defense strategy, Strikers will fall in as an asset for the fast development of the troops. Next, let's take a look at the terrain-based approach. As Thailand has become more modernized, more local towns getting bigger and have been linked with more local roads, therefore deploying our troops to the border with Strikers will take shorter amount of time as we have higher mobility. Next, looking from the budgetary constraint base, as I have previously mentioned, developing the heavy units may not be the best choice as we are not likely to face large-scale combat, but also developing heavy units require much more tremendous amount of budget. Therefore, Striker falls in as a better choice as a more compact operations. Next is a force protection base, as the majority of our troops along the border are dismounted troops, so we'll need some sort of protection for our dismounted infantry soldiers. Striker is also a good choice for that. Next, let's take a look from the technology-based standpoint. The Striker has more advanced technology compared to the vehicles Royal Thai Army have in the past purchased. For example, M113 or BTRs. Therefore, Striker, which we will have our remote weapon system and joint battle command platform, which are receiving very soon. We have more advanced technology to support our operations. Next is the modernization base. So back in 2019, our Royal Thai Army launched modernization plan as to develop our force to be ready for the more urbanized operational environment. So Brigade Combat Team, under the Striker Brigade Combat Team from US Army, falls in as the concept of our development. And lastly, it's a total package approach base. So Royal Thai Army in 2019, led by General Akirat, decided to procure 134 Strikers. The package not only included the Strikers itself, but also including all the required trainings to operate Strikers properly. Also all the repair parts and post-sale services. This minimizes the follow-on problems that occur with Royal Thai Army in the past, as we have previously had with our old vehicles. Therefore, after comprising all of those 9 perspectives, now we can answer to why we need Strikers in Royal Thai Army, as to develop our 112 Regiment Combat Team to become a capable combat force at regimental level, ready for current and future and more complex operational environments. Next question is, how can we get there? So, Royal Thai Army Modernization Plan in 2019, we utilized the objective-based approach that includes 4 aspects. Number 1 is task organization. 2 is combat readiness. 3 is combat continuity. 4 is modernization. Looking at sound, it sounds very abstract. That it's not suitable to develop such a more tactical compact force, such as a regiment size. So instead, we choose to utilize the concept of capability-based approach, or the DOT-MLPFP model, or in short, DOT-ML. Let's take a look from each perspective. So the DOT-ML includes 8 different elements. The biggest element is the P policy, which is the framework and end state that the senior leadership set for our development plan. But not only he had to set up a clear end state, he needs to allocate budgets as well. D is the doctrine, dictates how we fight. O, organization, is how we set up forces to fight, such as organization. T, training, is how we prepare our soldiers to fight. We train our soldiers from individual level to collective level. M, material, is all types of equipment we need in fighting. L, leadership and education, is how we train, develop our leaders to lead the fight. P, personnel, is how we assign and allocate our soldiers to each unit. And moreover, the most importantly, we need to assign them to respective proper positions. As we said, put the right man on the right job. And lastly, F, facilities, includes all the buildings, barracks, factories, motor pools, housing to support our soldiers. Not only those parts are important, land management plays a critical role, as we have built our regiment from scratch to the most modernized look of military base, which everyone will get to see tomorrow. Now let's take a look at each element. P, policy. The bottom line up front, back in 2019, General Akirat Kongsompong, Chief of Army at that time, initiated a development plan of integrating Strikers in Royal Thai Army through 11th Infantry Division. Our division in the past was a second-tier force. We trained only reserve components. However, after the plan was initiated, General Akirat passed policies as follows. Number 1 is to transform our 112 Striker Regiment from a second-tier force to a striker-based deployable first-tier force by adapting the concept of United States Striker Brigade Combat Team. Second, as we are transitioning into striker regiment, we have to be light, economical, highly mobile, compared to regular light infantry unit. And lastly, modernizing our regiment by incorporating new technologies, including remote weapon systems, different variants of Striker, and joint battle command platforms. In addition to General Abdullah's policy, our current Chief of Army, General Pana, who is visiting the force in South Sudan right now, he has extended development framework. Not only our 11th Infantry Division must become the first-tier force, but we must also develop in the aspect of fighting as a combined armed force. As in the modern world, we are fighting in the more complex multi-domain scale. His policy, General Pana policy, will be proven in this upcoming April as our 11th Infantry Division will host the very first combined arms regiment-sized field training exercise. That includes 2 maneuver striker battalions, combining forces with other supports such as armor, artillery, cavalry, engineer, aviation, signal, and other support elements. The next element is doctrines. Royal Thai Army still operates under the concept of air-land battle, similar to the race of 11th Infantry Division units. However, 112 Striker Regiment Combat Team is different. We utilize the concept of full spectrum operations, covering operations across all levels of conflict. Therefore, 112 heavily base our doctrines on United States Army doctrines, such as Army Doctrine Publication, field manuals, and technique publications, or in short, ADP, FM, and ATPs. Since 2019, we have developed various manuals from platoon level to company and battalion size levels. We're currently working on the regiment size manuals, and the most recently our support regiment took initiative to develop the battalion support, brigade support battalion and sustainment doctrines. In the near future, we wish to develop to be capable of operating in the multi-domain scale. I would like to encourage all the participating Royal Thai Army units, and along with our partner nations, to help us developing the doctrines to be more advanced and interoperable with other countries. Next is O, organization. The screen shows task organization of our 11th Infantry Division. The light blue box represents currently active units, whereas the gray box represents the plan but not yet established. Let me explain this by using 6 war fighting functions from left to right. So our 11th Infantry Division, we composed of 2 maneuver regiments, 111 Light Infantry Regiment, our 112 Striker Regiment Combat Team. The 113 has been planned but not yet established, as well as the Cavalry Squadron and Engineer Battalion. In terms of firepower, we still lacking the Artillery Regiment. On the sustainment piece, we have support regiment that includes only 1 maintenance battalion. We're still missing the combat sustainment and service battalion, transportation battalion, and medical battalion. In terms of force protection, we still do not have the military police company. And the most recently, we have gained our command and control capability since we have established our signal company. In terms of intelligence in the deep area, we still lack the long-range reconnaissance company. Now let's take a look specifically at our 112 task organization. On the left side is the pre-transition task organization back before 2019. As you can clearly see, it's basically second-tier force. We were composed of only 1 headquarters company, 1 heavy mortar company, and 1 maneuver battalion, which is a light infantry. After the transition into our Striker Regiment Combat Team, 2 Striker maneuver battalions have been established, along with the ISR, Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance Company, which in the future will have extensive capability of UAV, reconnaissance functions, and heavy anti-tank weapons. Next is our training calendar. of this year. Let me explain the training calendar from individual level to collective level, and will be followed by the joint training between the United States and our 112 regiment. On the first level is the individual training. We have the new recruit trainings and military occupational specialty trainings, whose objective is to transform our civil citizens to capable soldiers and familiarize them with their respective positions. Next, we move up to collective level. We have platoon field trainings to company size, battalion size, and this year, as I have mentioned, that we will hold the first combined arms regiment size field training. Next is the evaluation from the Royal Thai Army as a whole. So our regiment includes 2 events. The first one is expert infantry gauge. This is evaluated by Royal Thai Army. And next is the small unit competition, in which every infantry unit across Royal Thai Army sent 12-man team to compete with each other. Next is our 112 in-house trainings. That includes the new NCO training, along with striker driver, the gunners, and vehicle commanders. This training, the objective is to familiarize our NCOs and to maintain the expertise of utilizing the strikers properly. Next is the activities, is the joint trainings between U.S. Army and Royal Thai Army. The gray box is the activity between Washington National Guard and our 112 regiment. The gray box represents the event that occurred in the United States, specifically in JBLM or in Washington State. Mostly it's hold striker maintenance courses and manual warfare symposiums. Next is the training with the SFAT team. So since 2020, U.S. Army has attached one SFAT team to our regiment to help our soldiers for the training and help us developing our SOPs. They rotate every 6 months. So in a year, there are 2 SFAT teams come and train with us. Next is the mobile training team. Basically, it's the co-training between U.S. Army and our regiment that take place in our regiment in Thailand. That includes striker system maintenance course that is currently going on now. Everyone will get to see them co-training together tomorrow. And the battle management system, in which we will familiarize our soldiers with the JBLM platform, which we are receiving soon. The trainer course, striker leader course, and striker maintenance manager course. And next is the key event of the year. It's the bilateral training between Royal Thai Army and U.S. Army. It's the Hanuman Guard in 2025. It's a battalion-sized bilateral training that takes place in Lopburi. This year we're taking the next step as we are co-conducting the MPMP process at the regiment size level. So this year, tomorrow, everyone will get to see how we conduct our MPMP together with 2-4 SPCT with the U.S. And next is our new event. This year is a brevet focus at the Human Training Center in the Washington State, which we are sending one platoon of Thai soldiers from our division to conduct a platoon-sized field training exercise in the US. So as you can see that we develop our soldiers from individual base, since from the private to our commanders. In addition to that, we develop our interoperabilities between U.S. Army and Royal Thai Army. So, and next element is the material. So, originally our procurement plan led by General Abhirat was to procure strikers, 134 strikers. So far in Thailand we have 106 strikers, which is all of them are infantry carrier vehicles. The next 28 strikers will be coming and arriving within this year. So the next lot of 12 ICD strikers with remote weapon system or the pros is expected to arrive on the 28th February, or the day after tomorrow, in 2 days. And then the following lot will include 10 strikers, which have 3 ICDs with pros, 1 ICD with no RWS, and 6 motor carrier vehicles. which are expected to arrive around April and May. And at the end of this fiscal year, around August and September, we are expected to receive 4 commander's vehicles, along with medical evacuation vehicle at the end of this year. In addition to that, we are in the process of executing another foreign military sales on the FMS program. So Royal Thai Army is expecting to procure 200 more strikers, including our 4 current variants, plus 3 additional variants, the anti-tank guided missiles, or the ATGM, reconnaissance vehicle, or the RV, and the fire support vehicle, or the FSV. This new FMS program is planned to transform our sister regiment, the 111, to another striker regiment combat team. In terms of leadership and education development, of course, in order to effectively lead a striker-based unit, we need to have capable leaders. So we have sent our NCOs and officers to attend numerous courses in the United States. Overall, 34 officers have graduated from the United States Infantry Basic Officer Course, or the Indo. 12 officers and NCOs have completed a striker management course in Fort Lee. 12 captains have graduated from Maneuver Captain's Career Course in Fort Moore, which we have 5 more currently training at this time. As you can see, that there are not only 1 personnel that got the chance to attend those schools. The other units of our 11 infantry divisions participated in those courses. As I have mentioned, we are transitioning our sister regiment to another striker brigade combat team as well. So we have prepared our leader for next transformation as well. Moreover, those leaders, after returning home, not only got a chance to experience with U.S. soldiers, but they got a chance to come and share and train with our soldiers, developing our soldiers, and sharing those experiences, which ultimately lead to a better level of each other when it comes to bilateral force training. I would like to address my appreciation and thank you, because I'm also one of the products of this leadership and education development. Last year, I got a chance to attend Maneuver Captain's Career Course and Striker Leader Course in Fort Moore. So after I returned home, I could say that I worked better with the ASVAB team along with U.S. forces in terms of 7 steps of MBA pre-process, as Royal Thai Army just has transformed to use 7 steps of MBA process. I was extremely better to work with U.S. Army. Therefore, I feel like it's not only the language the language barrier that I reduced, but also I was able to speak the same language, the military language, the Army language. Next element is the personnel. Since 11 Infantry Division has been transformed from a 2nd tier to 1st tier force, so we require a lot more personnel. In 2019, we started from 50% across all the officers, NCO, and privates. And look at our charts. So now, the officers at 65%, NCO still kind of below 50%, and private, who rotates in and out every 2 years, stay at 75%. I would say, we can say like we have been continuously developing our personnel assignment, and we wish to achieve 80% desired end state in the next couple of years. Next, list of facilities, including other barracks, buildings, multiple storages buildings, housings, and apartments. We have constructed nearly 51%, and this fiscal year we will construct 11 more percent, include 2 more multiples, 2 more company barracks, 2 more apartments for the soldiers. The bubble stars on the screen represent the maintenance support facility which United States Army provided us. It costed about $600,000. This maintenance support facility has been continuously utilized to conduct extensive maintenance on the strikers, along with as a local training site to conduct subject matter expert exchange training. Of course, to achieve such massive development within limited numbers of years, we require significant cooperations and assistance from partner nations, United States. The program originally, the first program that was like the father program of our development plan led by General Akirat in 2019. Is when he decided to put here 34 strikers from U.S. Army, and that led to 4 other significant cooperation programs. Number 1 is Build Partnership Program under Section 333. This one includes 3 key events. Number 1 is United States Army provided Royal Thai Army 327 strikers back in 2020. Second, United States Army constructed $600,000 worth of maintenance support facility located in our regiment, which everyone will be visiting tomorrow. Lastly, we have been allocated with numerous slots to attend schools in the United States Army. The program ended in 2023, and that led to the next program is the Foreign Military Financing or the FMF program. The FMF program is the funding operated under the Department of State from the United States. So basically the FMF program extended the BBC program in the aspect of school allocations of our soldiers from 11 infantry divisions. So I was in 4th Corps for Maneuver Captain Square Force under the FMF program last year. And that led to another key event is a state partnership program, which is the program between United States National Guards and Royal Thai Army. Actually, the state partnership program has been continuously going on since 2002. Our counterpart to Royal Thai Army, to our regiment, is Washington National Guard. So basically, the state partnership program led us to train with the Washington National Guard, who is specialized in operating with the strikers. We both conducted the maintenance course in Thailand, in our regiment, and also in Yakima Training Center, or in GBR, Washington State. The current program is a striker maintenance subject matter expert exchange training, which is everyone's going to see how they put that together tomorrow. And lastly, that led to the SSCI program, or the Significant Security Cooperation Initiative, has been running between 2023 to 2027. The program is designed to develop and modernize our regiment to be out in state. It includes 3 key events. Number 1 is the United States has approved to provide our 11th Infantry Division with striker multiple integrated laser engagement system, or the laser lines, along with the home station instrumentation training system, or the HITS, costing approximately about $10 million. So we are receiving the devices within this fiscal year, and we will incorporate those technologies in our training next year. The second one, the second key event under SSCI is United States Army agreed to provide the Joint Battle Command platforms, or the JBCP platforms, along with our incoming lot of strikers. So that will enhance our command and control capabilities. And lastly, the United States Army has agreed to help with the construction of the Royal Thai Army training area, such as Ban Ilan in Lopburi, which is the primary training site for the Royal Thai Army. Overall, let me wrap up all of the developments and all of the cooperations. Therefore, if you take a look at the chart, we start from 2019, when the concept of Striker Regiment Combat Team, led by General Apira and General Brown, it was still a concept. We built our regiment from scratch, and then from abstract regiment to rebuild it from individual level to squad, platoon, company, and then in 2025, as I have previously mentioned, we are holding the first combined arms regiment size field training exercise. Therefore, it proves that our development plan has been a huge success, and we're still on track. As in by 2028, we are expected to be able to operate and become the first tier deployable regiment size striker brigade combat team. And of course, we can achieve all of these massive development alone. We also need our partner nations to help us. Not only the United States and our partner nations here who are participating in this IPFF. So I strongly believe that we will achieve those instincts as our planned calendar. And as we achieve together, and tomorrow you will get to see why our regiment motto in front of our striker regiment said, one team, one fight, striker. Thank you very much. Now, I, on behalf of 11th Infantry Division, along with 11th Infantry Division and 112 Regiment Commanders, are open for any questions. Thank you.
I just got a comment. When you look at your training life path, you highlighted expert infantry badge training, which I think is terrific. It sets the foundation for collective training going forward, but I think the benefit we get in the American Army out of that is not the individual skill training, it's the NCO development and empowerment. If you go to an American expert badge training or any of the three that we run, you'll see it's exclusively planned and executed by non-commissioned officers. And the benefit of doing that is as we get into collective training, they've mastered some of the principles of training management and sustained planning and risk mitigation. And that helps us throughout all the additional training events that we do for our homeland. So I would just challenge everybody to not look at that as an individual skills event, but an NCO development event.
Thanks, Sergeant. So the development plan was initiated in 2019, but the first lot of strike received it at the end of 2019 or in the beginning of 2020. So back then our soldiers were not, I would say as we were in second tier force, we were not familiarized with strikers. So as you can see, our training calendar is extremely packed with many trainings. So I would say like before the strikers, we did not have much trainings. It's just a similar trainings to other regular units. But after the strikers, that's when we started to develop our individual and collective skills.
Before we go on break, I just want to point out that these little handouts that you have on your table, you have the QR code. Just shoot your phone to it and I'll put you to a little site where you can download all the reading. But one brief in particular that we will email it because we're going to be building the rest of the delegation. The microphones are concerned, just one technical aspect. Button on the back.
You're moving fast. ช่วงเบรกไปไม่ใช่ปล่อยฟรีเลย
We got 30 minutes. Let's say we get back here at 10:30. Thank you.